Hey, man.
What's up?
Have you heard of Christopher Thomas Knight?
Christopher Thomas Knight. Is this Chris Angel's legal name? Which would be very funny if you did that.
I could see that, and now I'm inspired.
Christopher Thomas Knight. No.
This is a fun one.
CTK?
CTK. Yes, this is a fun one. This was recommended by one of our patrons, Mickey. And I think you're going to like this one a lot. But I don't want to... A lot of times, like, I'll start the story, like, at the beginning of the story. I don't want to do that this time.
Let's start at the end.
Let's start right at the end.
There was a murder.
I'm just putting on my winter meat.
Yeah, that's the worst thing I've ever heard you say.
Better
Wait till you
backwards.
see that on a trail cam.
And he said, I have a radio. So he's like, I know who the Kardashians are.
Here's salted soybeans. You're gonna want
What am I
this.
supposed to do with this?
Why do the rich people eat crap, dude? I beat the crap out of that 8-year-old. Things I learned last night.
So okay. So there's a woman, an unnamed woman. We don't know her name. Let's call her
Yet.
Sue.
Okay.
It was like a winter, early 2000s. She has a vacation home in central Maine, like a cabin in the woods. And she's having family out of state. They're going to stay in the cabin and they're going to have a great weekend together. And so earlier that week, she decides to drive up to the cabin to go into the house and kind of get things prepped.
I've seen this horror movie.
It's not a horror movie. How does it end? Let's see your prediction.
She goes over
This
to the
is
cabin.
a Mad Lib.
She goes over to the cabin.
Yeah.
Right? During the week.
Yeah.
It's scary movies always start with like the best house you've ever seen. They literally ruin your dreams of like living in like a good remote location.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh, man, all this nature around, and then night falls and you don't see anything like 4 feet past your house.
Yep.
I hate that.
It's like the Stalker episode of Dave.
Yes. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So anyway, she's out there in this cabin.
Yeah. So
right?
she goes up in that cabin.
And in the middle of the night, you just hear,
Is that a door?
it's like, you think it is. And that's like what's scary. And she goes, is that a door? And then you hear, and you're all, whoa, the raccoons are pretty crazy out there. You know, but that's another scary movie trope is that it's always like some noise outside.
Yeah.
And next thing like and it's like freaking just...
It's something else.
It's like a raccoon digging into the trash.
It was a raccoon.
Yeah.
But the killer put a raccoon in the trash to throw you
And
off the
that's
scent.
the brilliance of this serial killer.
They call him the raccoon killer.
Do they?
But it's weird because he doesn't kill the raccoons.
Yeah, it's pretty confusing. He really wants to clarify that too, but he only clarifies it to his victims, who he then kills.
Yeah, he's like, I don't kill raccoons.
I don't kill raccoons.
I kill people.
Like, he's freaking.
But what's crazy about it is he's also a raccoon.
But he kills him with a raccoon, and that's like what is also a little.
It's the world's sharpest raccoon.
It's a taxidermied raccoon.
He's got like a bayonet
clubbing somebody with. Yeah. And it's, a lot of fears.
It's a little strange.
So anyway, she's got this cabin in the woods.
Yeah. And so she's having family out.
And she survives the week.
She's having family out. So she says, I'm going to drive up on like Thursday night. I'm going to get everything ready. Yeah. So she goes to the store. She picks up a bunch of groceries, stocks up the fridge.
Okay.
And is getting ready for this thing. Leaves that evening, goes home. And then Saturday, they come back out. Saturday afternoon, they get there. And she opens up the fridge, and the fridge is empty. Mm-hmm. And she opens it and closes it, and opens it, still empty, closes it, opens it, still empty, closes it 3 times. And her husband notices she's doing this, and he's like, that's peculiar.
That's weird that you're doing that.
Quickly goes to the junk drawer and starts checking the flashlights.
And he pulls it open. Closes it. Pulls it open. Closes it. It turns out they've all just got weird OCD.
He opens up the junk drawer and starts checking the flashlights. All of them have no batteries. And so they go out to the shed, and the propane tanks are gone. And
why'd you say it like that?
What?
Propane.
That's how you say it.
No, it's propane.
That's exactly what I said.
No, it's not.
What did I say? Say it. Not you, Alex. You say it.
You said propane.
That's exactly
Like
what
it's
you
a
said.
French dessert. Propane, please.
I'll have the propane.
I'll have the propane. Yeah, it's like a wine. I'll have the propane. That's propane.
Paired with some dark chocolate.
You've lived in the Midwest long enough. You gotta do propane.
Propane.
Just watch some
Propane.
King of the Hill.
There you
Okay.
go.
Anyways, so then
They're empty.
yeah.
So this is just like our Airbnb experience. Paid a lot of money for that Airbnb. Showed up and nothing freaking worked. Were there fingernails in the hot tub? Because that's what was at mine.
There was a raccoon in the vents too.
There was a dead animal in the vents. Have we talked about our Airbnb?
No.
Oh my gosh. For our wedding, we got there and there's a bad smell.
Yeah.
And we called them and they were like, yeah, sometimes animals die. We were like, yeah.
She said,
yeah. I can't control where they die. Like and on the phone with this Airbnb person,
Like
I had to
it's
say,
your fault.
I had to be like, I don't think you put it there.
Yeah,
I'm just
not
letting you
blaming
know
you.
that it's there.
Yeah, I'm just asking if you could get rid
And
of it.
then this is where when the pest control guy showed up and the
Yeah.
smell wasn't there, I was gonna burn the house down. Because he
that was
showed up
some-
and he had his full face in the vent
Yeah.
and was just like,
I don't smell anything.
and then I was like, come on, man.
Yeah, that was some
don't gaslight me right
Skinwalker
now. And then I got
Ranch
down there and I was
type
like, the vent was empty.
It was.
Much like the flashlight. I opened the vent.
Much
I closed
like the
vent.
grave.
I opened the vent. I closed the vent. I opened the vent. I closed the vent. So, okay, the
Yeah,
propane
so
tanks.
they go
are
around, they
empty.
notice all this stuff is missing, and then they come back to the house and they're standing there kind of in bewilderment. And then they lock eyes and they look at each other. And in unison, they say,
Christopher Thomas Knight.
they say, the North Pond Hermit was here. And as they say that, they turn around and they notice written on the wall in blood, it says that exact phrase, the North Pond Hermit. That part didn't happen.
The North Pond Hermit.
North Pond Hermit was here. So here's the deal. From about 1986 to 2013, there was a community in central Maine, North
Okay.
Pond, around the North Pond is what it's called. Here's a picture of it for your reference. It's a pretty...
I like that there's a little North Pond right next to it.
I do. I respect that. There's a little just pond, and
Yeah.
here's a satellite image that I took from Google Maps.
It's the little one with the red around it.
Yeah, so it's like
a small
central
little pond.
southwestern ish.
Yeah.
Maine. Not like this isn't North Maine, like abandoned North Maine.
Did you say abandoned Maine?
Yeah, North Maine is.
What are you talking about?
North Maine is.
This isn't like abandoned Maine. This is the part where people are still there.
You know what I mean.
Okay.
But in that community, for 27 years, people
Lived.
would find, they would come in their house and they would find that their
Everything was
groceries,
gone.
their groceries were missing, but nothing of particular value. It was mostly groceries, things like batteries, propane tanks, sometimes tarps, just like what you would call supplies. Supplies were missing, but there was no sign of forced injury.
Do you think they had those tubs for gasoline?
Say it again.
Gasoline.
Yeah. I think that's exactly how
Those
I
little
would say
red
it.
tubs in the garage.
Yeah, gasoline.
Gasoline.
And it's like,
And it's empty too.
yeah, they would, yes. It was like someone just drank it straight out of the gasoline tank.
Because he knows how much you can drink.
He knows
that's
the
whole point.
legal limit.
He knows the legal limit of gasoline that you can consume.
Gasoline sounds like a weird,
Like a marinara dish.
it sounds like a group of Americans who went to Italy and opened up an Italian restaurant. They're like, hello, welcome to gasoline. And everyone's like, is he saying gasoline?
Every day we joke about ideas that are actually pretty good.
This spaghetti tastes kind of fumey.
Gas.
Oh my gosh.
That was really good.
Okay, so for 27 years, supplies would go missing from these homes.
Stuff would just disappear.
What was interesting is there's no sign of forced entry, no broken windows, no footprint, nothing like that you could identify that someone was ever actually there. And even the doors were locked. Like they would come in and the doors would be locked, and they would go outside and like they couldn't find any footprint. They're in the woods,
how
so
was
you would
the person
assume there'd
getting
be
in?
footprints. We can talk about that eventually.
Okay.
And so it was a very peculiar thing.
Was it through the garage door?
No.
You know, that's how my friend's house got broken into.
Really? They opened up the garage
By
door?
my friend, I mean Shama Marema. A man who apparently left his cars unlocked all the time, and someone just reached in the car, opened the garage door, and stole a lot of stuff from their garage.
Oh my gosh, Shama. I had...
That's like home security 101.
Yeah. I had a lot of friends growing up who would just leave their garage doors open.
Yeah.
And like people would just come in there and just snap
Dude,
stuff.
we used to do that until that one kid from the neighborhood was like, "Can I have your Xbox?"
And I all the time, oh man, that made me so mad. Don't even get me started.
"Can I have your Xbox?" No.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was bold though.
I mean, I almost want to give it to him just because he asked.
We had like, if you're listening, we had like a man cave set up in our garage.
We've said it before, but yeah, it was...
We have we told this story before?
I thought so.
Oh.
Let's tell it again. Who cares?
And I was in there playing Xbox one day, and a kid just boldly, probably 8, 9?
Yeah, a neighborhood child.
Yeah, rode his bike into our garage, like full speed, rode into our garage and like skid into the garage.
Up the driveway with a little black mark and everything. We had to get a tennis ball and scrub it off.
Scrub it off, yeah. And I'm just sitting there playing Xbox, and he doesn't like exchange pleasantries, doesn't ask my name, doesn't do anything.
Doesn't offer his.
Yeah, just says, "Hey, can I have your Xbox?" And I was a full-blown adult at this time. Like I was, 23?
Yeah.
22? Like the boldness.
And it's
of
like,
that
dude,
kid.
and like, I mean, he had a gun. It was like, "Can I have that Xbox?"
Can I have that Xbox?
And you're like, "I appreciate that you're still asking." No.
Can I have that Xbox?
Can I? His voice was super deep.
It's so deep.
"Can I have that Xbox?" You're like, "I guess."
Turns out it was actually just a small
It
man.
was 2017, and that was an Xbox 360. It wasn't, worth a gun.
Yeah. But I took a bullet for that Xbox, and I got to keep it.
I beat the crap out of that 8-year-old.
You shot me?
Put that in the intro. I beat the crap out of that 8-year-old in the intro.
So he, it became this local legend that there was a North Pond Hermit crab that was sneaking in people's houses.
Okay.
No one knew who this guy was. I don't know why they labeled him as a hermit. I think it was because he was stealing supplies. They were like, there's got to be someone just living in the woods somewhere, stealing all of our stuff. This started in the 80s. And so people...
For a while.
Yeah. People couldn't pinpoint who he was. And then in the early 2000s, when like home security cameras started becoming more popular, a lot of the people in the town started putting up these cameras.
Guys, someone's breaking into our home with a full television on their head and taking all of our groceries.
And he doesn't seem concerned about the TVs.
I think he's a hermit.
I think he's a hermit. I mean, that is hermit crab behavior, to put TVs on your head until you find a better one.
The HP hermit.
And so this mystery just kind of grew and grew. They start setting up these security cameras in their homes. What was interesting though is in the early 2000s when security cameras were like home security cameras were new, there wasn't any there was, but the
motion
majority of them,
kind of stuff.
it wasn't motion sensor, it was just constantly recording. And so their file storage would fill up really quickly.
Well, you know how, my family's story with security cameras.
No.
So my mom worked at Subway.
Yeah.
And that's what the Subway security system was. It recorded onto VHS, right? Yeah. And so, it's just this black and white video, and she has to take the VHS. If something happens, she's got to rewind and do all that stuff, right? Well, she started dating my dad, and I'm 3 years old at the time. My dad is watching me one night at the house and is looking for a fun little movie to watch. Yeah. And he's looking through these VHSs, and in one of the VHSs, it's written Charles Subway. And he's like, what the heck? And he puts it in, and it is security camera footage of my dad walking into Subway that my mom had taken to show her friends who this mystery guy was. And so she has taken it, it's labeled Charles Subway, and she's just showing all of her friends this guy that comes in and is like, I'm gonna marry this guy. And then he finds out months into a relationship with her that she's been stalking him through VHS.
That's through VHS. That's incredible. Honestly, we laugh at it. It's no different than Facebook stalking. But it feels way worse because there's a VHS.
Because there's effort. Yeah,
there's a VHS
I guess it's really not different than like showing someone's Instagram and like scrolling back. Here's their ex. You know,
like it's the
I'm
same.
better than that guy. You
but
know?
also, social media is something that they've volunteered.
That they've voluntarily put out. Yeah.
But when you walk
he went
in
into
Subway,
public.
True.
When you walk in Subway,
he
there's a
shouldn't have
sign.
been out there.
But
There's a
didn't-
sign that says "Smile, you're on camera." So, like, he did know.
Well, so he was a regular, and for a long time, she just because she never knew his name. So he's a regular, and she never knew his name, and she just called him my future husband.
Yeah.
And so he'd come in every day, get a
She
sandwich,
just called him
and
Subway
leave.
King. It's my Subway King.
Well, this is true too, though. Is that so? Her coworkers would all joke and be like, "Hey, your future husband came in," and then none of them ever knew his name.
Yeah.
And then there's a ticket giveaway, some kind of competition or something to a country concert. And because she's the manager, she gets 2 free tickets anyway.
Yeah.
And so she sees him entering for it, and she's like, hey, you know, I've got those tickets if you want to go. You know, and that's how she got her in. Well, in the meantime, one of her older coworkers had like a heart attack or something, was in the hospital.
So she
And so-
thought, let me give her a VHS of.
You're going to love this movie. The IMDb rating is crazy. Rotten Tomatoes says certified fresh. It says eat fresh. So she shows up to the hospital with Charles.
Yeah.
And she might have had a second heart attack to be like, it's your husband.
Oh my gosh.
You know? So.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, and now they're getting divorced. They're not. My brother got married this weekend.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I was there.
Yeah, I brought it up. He gave no indication for his whole month that he's going to be there. Do you know what happened?
No.
No. Yeah.
So my brother tells me this. We're on so many side tangents right now. But whatever, I don't care. My brother, it's his wedding week, right?
Yeah.
We're at this big Airbnb. He did the same thing that we did. Got the Airbnb leading up to the wedding, and we got to get pizza the first night. And he just out of nowhere was just like, "Man, our officiant backed out." And I was like, "Oh, really?" And he's like, "Yeah." So I had to hire some guy in Branson to do it. And I was
some
like,
random Branson.
some Branson officiant.
Like
and I was like,
wedding
what are you
chapel.
talking about? I was like, I'm ordained. And he's like,
Yeah.
yeah, but I want you to be my best man still. And I was like, Tim could have done it. And he goes, it's probably too late to ask him. I was like, okay, whatever. So we get to the wedding, and then I see Tim's name on the table stuff. And so I was like, Tim and Bree were invited to this? Not like, I guess, you know, I was like, okay, sure. Caden's just inviting my friends to his wedding. I like that. And so I look up Tim's location. He's there. And I was like, you didn't tell me you were coming to this wedding. And he's like, oh yeah, we just didn't know if we were going to make it or whatever. And I'm even telling Bree that the officiant has backed out. And I was like, the officiant backed out. They just hired someone random. And she's like, oh really? That's pretty crazy. Well, so then we're lining up, and I go to walk down the aisle in my dress. But Tim's freaking officiating their wedding and has known about this for months.
Yeah. We planned it the night of your wedding.
It's so
Immediately
funny.
after your
Because I
wedding.
said to Caden, I said, wouldn't it be pretty funny if Tim married both of us?
I did it.
That was pretty funny.
I did it. It was so stressful because I don't think we did a good job with planning our side story for you.
You didn't need one. I don't know why he said. I never questioned it. I never even asked.
I just assumed you would have been like, who's officiating?
At the
some
rehearsal,
point.
the person who was officiating was not there.
Yeah.
And I was
would've-
like-
I would have thought you would have sniffed it out.
I was like, is your officiant not here? Like, usually they're here for the rehearsal part.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's like, no, they couldn't make it tonight. And I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know.
Interesting. But I pulled in the parking lot and you guys were taking pictures.
I wondered why you were in a Men in Black suit.
And Bree was like,
You were putting on a whole tie. And I was like, dude, for my brother's wedding, like, dude, chill.
and
like,
I was
chill
I was
out.
struggling with that tie because I was
like,
so
they're serving
stressed.
barbecue, bro.
You made a joke about it. You were like, have you ever tied a tie before? But I was so stressed because I was like, he knows what's happening right now. And I'm trying to tie this tie and act cool, but I'm like, he knows. I'm like, I'm giving it away right now.
I did not know.
And I couldn't get that
And
tie
Bree
tied
wore
right.
her best Easter outfit. She doesn't listen to this. Oh, now you want to get back on topic? Now you want to get back on topic?
No. What I was
I
gonna
can
say.
tell you, the fastest
So I
way
drove-
to get Tim back
I drove
on
right
track is to take a good jab.
I saw you, and I drove right past to try to like pull into the parking lot to where you couldn't see us. And then I saw you in the mirror.
You saw me stand
I saw
right
you
there,
in the
look,
mirror, just
and
like-
I went, no, I looked at your car, and I was like, what are they doing? And then I honestly figured you were changing. So I was like, I'm going to give them some space. I walked back inside.
Yeah.
And then I was like, this is too much time.
Yeah, I was like, we just need to camp out here.
And then I
you
walked
called
up and
me?
you're like, oh, hey. You're like sweaty, dude. Oh, hey.
Hey, what's up, man?
No, I had no idea the whole time. It
was crazy.
You guys pulled it off. It was great.
Impressive.
And you married him.
Speaking of, I did. We're married now.
Congrats.
Hey, thanks for watching this episode of Things I Learned Last Night. If you're enjoying this, let me recommend one of my favorites, Emperor Norton. It's this dude who just decided he was the Emperor of the United States. No one agreed, but some people did agree. It was weird. You should check it out. It was a lot of fun. But other than that, thanks for being here. Speaking of pulling it off, so they got these cameras, and because they were early cameras with like
that's right.
recording the
VHS
VHS, people would have to go and they would have to pull out the VHS and erase it if check to see if they got any footage of him in there and erase it and then put it back in. So not a lot of footage was captured in these early years.
Right.
Of what
and
was
that's back
going
in
on.
the time where people were VHS recording their shows. That's
Yeah.
like how you,
Yeah, TiVo. And TiVo came out.
that's how you DVR'd stuff.
Yeah.
You just
DVR.
VHS'd it.
That's an interesting time. That was. I still DVR stuff sometimes, just for like I don't ever watch it.
That's 'cause you're
It's
old.
just no, I don't ever plan on going back and watching it.
No, of
but
course
it's just
not.
for like the
It's like,
experience.
I like that I have it.
Yeah, it's the experience of like, let me go set that recording.
Yeah.
There's something about it. It's quaint.
Yeah.
In 2007, they caught the first footage
Okay.
of the North Pond Hermit going through. It was like a local community center.
Okay. Ew. That's, I don't like-
2012.
The black and white footage just makes it spooky as it is.
Yeah, so
2012.
yeah, this was actually 2012. I was off on the date.
Yeah, by like a lot. That's all right. Going through the community center. So just a normal dude.
Yeah, it looks like just a super normal dude. And then after this, they start capturing him on footage a lot because around this is when people started getting security cameras that could save to the cloud.
Sure.
So and they had motion sensors, so you could record 24/7. They started to figure out there were some patterns.
Okay.
He would show up primarily on overcast evenings, and he would show up primarily at vacation homes when
Okay.
people weren't at their vacation home.
What?
And so
Does the overcast matter?
it does, and we can get to that in a second.
Is he allergic to the moon?
He was.
Is he a werewolf?
It's a werewolf, yeah. If the moon's out and he comes in your house, you'll notice he's very hairy. Then there is signs of
And you're
forced
like,
entry.
whoa. Can I have your Xbox? Like, I guess.
I mean, yeah, if you ask that
I mean,
way.
you're a 7-foot wolf monster. You can have
Of
anything
course,
you
yeah.
want.
What do you want? You want the Xbox? Deal. He plays a lot of Call of Duty, I bet.
Black Ops, not even like a new one.
He plays.
And he's still trying to play online. No one plays it anymore.
No one plays it
It's
anymore.
just him
Yeah,
and
he
one
gets-
other guy.
He gets real mad. So they start catching him on more and more footage.
Okay.
And they pick up these patterns, and eventually, because by this time this has been going on for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
And so the local police department.
And he's like, it looks like he's like in his probably 50s, 60s,
yeah,
maybe.
he's an older man.
Yeah.
And so the local police department.
And that's great because like we're not even 30 yet, you know? Like it's good to remember that
Yeah.
he didn't start that until he was like in his 30s.
Yeah.
Maybe early 40s, you know?
Yeah.
So there's a whole second life we could live, man.
We could go be hermits if we want.
We could dominate the freaking
A whole community.
abandoned part of Maine.
Hello, abandoned Maine. It's me, your new hermit.
Hello, I am the emperor of this place.
I mean, you probably could. It wouldn't be
I
hard.
am the main guy.
I'm the main man of Maine. I'm the main man.
Yeah.
So he.
I had to grow my hair out, my mane, you know?
I was gonna make that joke, but I was like, okay, we could leave it.
And then I've got
I don't wanna keep
mange as well.
So the local police department, they call it the Department of Homeland Security, and they're like, hey, we're getting burglarized like crazy up here.
They call the Homeland Security.
And Department
What do
of
they
Homeland
call
Security.
the Pentagon? Hey guys, we don't really know what to do with this. And they go call the local police. Okay.
We're the police.
Sure. Okay. Sure.
Yeah. We talked to them and they said they don't care. Yeah. They said they don't like us.
They went, all right,
They said, I'll find somewhere else to go.
beat them up. We don't care up here.
We don't care. So the Department of Homeland Security was like, okay, we'll send you a care package. And they sent...
If you post about us, but you got to post about us and use the hashtag gifted.
Yeah, and make sure you open up with hashtag ad.
You know, there you go.
Hashtag ad. And thanks to the Department of Homeland Security for sponsoring this post.
Unbox this package from Homeland Security with me. We've been having some recent strings of burglaries. And it's like, get ready with me. Get ready with me to capture the local burglar. Oh, shoot, bro. I like this.
So they get a package.
I gotta do that video for that lady.
Yeah. That's a good bit. I like it. Yeah, you need to write a note for that real quick. Save it in your phone. Do a voice memo.
That's exactly what I was doing. Dang it, Tim.
Yeah, I do voice memos whenever I have book ideas. We can listen to one in the After the Fiddle.
Get ready with me to capture that lady. It's a video that the Homeland Security sent me a box. It's an unboxing video. All right. Let's see. I recorded one this morning. What do I got here?
People have thought I was 30 since I was in the 7th grade. When I was a youth pastor, I got in trouble for flirting with the college girls at a camp, but they were older than I was.
Took that in the shower.
So they get this package, they open it up, and they're surprised to find that it's a bunch of smoke detectors. And they're like, what are we going to do with all these smoke detectors? So they call up the Homeland Security, and the guys
And they're
like,
like, you're going
guys,
to set him on fire. Oh, you're going to torch the guy for sure.
burn the whole city
And
down.
we want the footage.
And they're like, hey, idiots, those aren't smoke detectors, they're cameras. They're hidden cameras. Set them up in everybody's house who's getting burglarized. They're motion sensors. They'll start capturing. Save the footage to the camera. It'll alert you.
And they're like, we thought you wanted us to help. Sorry, I didn't realize I had to hold your hand and explain this to you.
So they set up
It's
these.
just smoke detectors and little pins. What am I going to write notes? They're cameras.
They're cameras.
Wear them in the meeting.
What am I supposed to do with this bomb?
This very sophisticated bomb.
It's such a sophisticated
It's so
bomb.
sophisticated.
Like, it's so good. I don't
What am
know
I supposed to do with this
it.
Bombay?
Yeah, I'll have the Bombay and the petroleum.
And the gasoline, please.
So they start setting up all these
Sure.
smoke detectors in people's houses.
Yeah.
And one of them trips. This is in 2013. And so the police, they rush this house and they find
This guy. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Way
Christopher-
creepier than he was in the first one.
Christopher Thomas Knight.
Also, he could have outrun those cops. Both
yeah.
of them.
Yeah. Well, this is
This is Maine.
between court. So this isn't like the actual day he got caught. We
okay.
have no pictures of when he got caught.
All right.
So this is him going to court. I don't think those are the
I'm
police
going to
officers
send
who
a
arrested
link
him.
to that police department. Say, I'm going to send them oddjobhats.com because that guy's hat is way too small for his head. And he needs to know that he isn't going to live like that, you know?
Yeah.
He looks like a Unabomber guy, you know?
He does. So they take him back to the police station. They start interviewing him. And
he's like, yeah, I've been stealing stuff.
he confesses to well over 1,000 burglaries.
Holy cow.
Over the course of 27 years. And he leads them to his camp. So he has a camp in the middle of the woods.
Do we have pictures of it?
Yes, we do.
Oh,
He has a
nice.
camp deep in the middle of the woods. And it's interesting listening to the description of this camp from the police officers that he escorted up there. Because they said that this camp is in a part of the woods that they call the Jarzy.
It's pretty Jarzy up there.
It's pretty Jarzy. Careful. They said the deer don't even go there. They said because it's too thicket. Like it's too dense to get through it.
Okay.
So he's in a clearing is where he set up his camp. But they said to get through it, there's not game trails. There's not actual trails. Like you're literally like crawling through bushes the whole way through to get in there. And then he found a clearing deep within these bushes and set up a camp. This is actually on private property. And he had been living here for 27 years. And no one knew.
You thought of that joke way earlier. He's got trash cans
Yeah, in this picture you
that
see.
he spray paints weird stuff on. Like, why does he spray paint this stuff? Like, who's that for?
Well, wait till you hear some
you
more
should
about this
see
guy.
my art. Okay.
These clotheslines had been set up for so long that the tree
Has
had
grown around
them.
Yep.
Yeah, and
Like, so they're grown into the tree.
yeah, they're grown into the tree, and they're actually higher than he initially set them up. Like you notice, those are pretty high clotheslines because the tree's grown.
That's wild.
Isn't that crazy? And so here's the story of what happened. They're like, what? How did you get here?
Is this
Like,
snow?
I think so.
I mean, so he's up there and like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it's like Central Maine. So here's what happened.
Okay.
In January 1986, he was in his early 20s, and he grew up in an interesting home. He grew up in Massachusetts in a lower middle class family, and their family was strange to say the
Okay.
least. They would, for fun, study thermodynamics. As a family, they'd be like, "Hey, tonight's activity is thermodynamics," and they would just get some library books and learn about thermodynamics. And they built a greenhouse in their backyard, and they discovered that if you buried gallons of water, then it stayed a good temperature longer. And so they buried 1,000 gallons of water in their backyard to get through the winter, so they could keep their greenhouse watered without having to use tap water, so they could save money in the winter, which seems like a very nominal savings.
Yeah. I spent 30 days in a row burying 1,000 gallons of water, and not even big tubs, like individual gallons.
Individual gallons. They're actually quarts.
So I could save $13 in December.
Here's a
Live
picture-
like no one else, so you can live like no one else, baby.
Here's a picture of him in high school. He was a kid that didn't really get along with anybody. He didn't have any close
Yeah.
friends. And after high school, he moved to Florida for a little bit, where he worked at a mechanic shop, and then saved up to buy himself a Subaru. And he drove that Subaru hatchback from Florida to Maine until he just got tired of driving. And then he got out of his car and he set his keys in his center console and he walked into the woods until he found that spot. January 1986.
This is a crazy person.
And
then.
he stayed
Okay.
there for 27 years.
Where did the car go?
I'm assuming at some point someone found it and was like, well, I'll tow that, I guess. I don't know. He has no idea what happened to the car. What's really interesting about this is none of his friends, none of his family ever filed the missing persons report. They were just like, yeah, he's gone now.
Yeah,
It's been 20 years.
I think he drove to Maine. Well, I mean, but at that time, like, you don't know that someone's not doing something. You know, if someone says, "Hey, I'm leaving town. I'm going to go make a new life," you just go,
Yeah.
"All right, I'll never see you again."
Well, no, this is the 86. Like, you would probably expect your son would call you at least once.
I don't
like,
know.
2
Like,
years?
if someone goes like, "Hey, you know, I'm moving it," like, I mean, why would? if you're a person who's like, I'm just going to drive, that feels like there's some conflict or something happened that made you want to flee that life, you know?
That's what it seems like. And so that's what's interesting is they interviewed him.
And he's like, I was just bored one day.
Yeah, they were like, there's 3 reasons typically that people do this.
You're on the run.
It's religious reasons. They go out to like meditate and pursue religion. And
they have
he's
a panic attack about the development of the world, and they're very afraid of new technology, and they just want to become a recluse.
Yeah.
Or you got warrants.
Yeah. Or you're like running from something, like hiding from something or someone, or like, yeah. And they asked him about that. He was not a religious person. He was an atheist. And so they're like, well, that's not why he was there. They asked him like how he felt about society, and he said he doesn't really have a problem with it. He just wanted to be out here.
I don't know. How'd it turn out?
And then they asked him if he wasn't. So all those 3 main reasons you would typically like find someone to do this, it wasn't him. Okay. And they asked him, they're like, so why'd you do that? And he's like,
just felt like it.
I don't know. I just did. And
okay.
So he didn't have a good motive for doing it. And the police never got a good motive out of him for why he did it.
Sure.
So they started asking him about his experience, like how it was. And he was like, well, he said, the first few months I was up there, like I started out by like foraging and like getting food from plants and like
trying to kill animals.
Kill.
Sure.
He didn't kill animals. He would eat roadkill. Yeah. And he said, but that sucked. And so
What? No way.
He had a moral dilemma because he didn't believe in stealing. Like he didn't want to steal. But he also was like, this isn't working great. And so he decided, I'll start some light burglary and I'll just take food and I'll just take supplies, what I need to survive. And I'll only take it from vacation homes. So those people are rich, whatever, who cares? They have a second home. And so he would sneak in and take only what he needed.
Get it, brother. I'm with you.
And then take it back to his camp and survive in the camp. What's interesting if you watch him,
I don't think I could be a homeless person.
Okay.
I thought about this.
Yeah.
Like, because people we've never made it home from a restaurant without giving our leftovers to somebody.
Yeah.
But I was like, man, I don't like beans. Like if someone gave me a Chipotle burrito and they're like, hey, I got you this, I'd be like, thanks. And they would leave and I would go. I'd rather starve.
I will follow them to their car and throw it on their windshield.
I go, dude, that's what I'm saying. This has happened before, where it happened to Reagan. She tried to give like a granola bar, to a guy in Los Angeles. He literally took it and he went, oats and honey, and threw it down. It's like, bro, you live under a bridge. You don't get to be picky.
You know how much cholesterol is in this?
It was just like, what are you doing, dude? I couldn't do that.
I'm trying to get my macros, bro.
That's what I'm saying. McDonald's? Come on, man. And you're like, okay, sorry.
Right.
Just trying to give you calories, man. I couldn't eat roadkill. I couldn't do that. But what I'm saying is if I break into you ever been to a rich person's home?
Yeah.
Half their food sucks, dude. Like, I don't want your almond milk.
Remember in college, we stayed at that rich person's home when we were on tour?
We don't got to say that. We can say my ex-girlfriend's dad. Okay. We don't got to be like, remember in college when we stayed at that rich person's home? Yeah. My ex. Yes.
And literally I couldn't find anything to eat. So I ate 3 boxes of
That's what I'm saying. We just ate cookies, dude, because all their food sucked. All their food was like freaking like, here's salted soybeans. Like, I don't want
What
this.
am I supposed to do with this?
Why do the rich people eat crap, dude?
Oh, jeez.
Here's some crackers with 15 calories. I don't want that.
I need more calories.
Give me Ritz crackers.
Give me the real stuff.
Give me the goods.
Margarita mix, the hard stuff.
Okay.
So what's interesting is he exhibited some things that seemed like he was trained for this. And I'll tell you why.
Okay. Where are his siblings?
I actually don't know. I don't know. I haven't seen anything about that.
They're in the woods.
They're in some other woods.
That's what I'm saying. Do you think his parents were like,
his parents?
Hey,
in January 1986, they got all the 4 siblings together and they said, "It's your time. Now we see who can make the longest."
There was a time when the 4 siblings lived together at peace. But then the Fire Nation attacked.
This was the way they said whoever survives the longest gets the inheritance.
How will we know?
We'll see. That's how good your instincts are.
Yeah.
You'll know.
And he's like, frick, I know he's out there. Hey, thanks for being part of this episode. If you want to help us do more of this, you want to help us grow our show, one of the easiest and best ways to do that is to join our Patreon. It's a way for you financially to support this show, and you get a lot in return. You get access to our Discord channel. You get bonus content that comes out. You get exclusive merchandise and like live Zoom hangouts where we're both just hanging out, eating pizza, just getting to know each other. The biggest thing is we want to know you more as an individual and as a friend. So thanks for supporting our show. If you don't support us financially, we're not pressed about it. We're not like mad, but I'll find you. So text TILLN to 66866 to keep yourself from being found. All right, because if you don't, I will hunt you down.
That's like when Tony and Michelle left. And we said,
Yeah, dude, straight up, we were like, are you guys going to open another Chinese restaurant? And Tony just goes, you'll know.
We had a favorite Chinese restaurant in Springfield, and the owners, they got deported. So they had to shut the store down.
Is that what happened?
Well, they didn't technically, they
not what
couldn't
happened.
renew their green card. They wouldn't let them renew their green card. So they essentially
I
got
thought
deported.
it was the building owner wouldn't make the updates to the building that needed to happen, and they didn't have the money to do it.
Oh, interesting.
And so, because that new place came in and they remodeled the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of updates that had to happen.
Yeah, it needed to happen.
I didn't know that. I thought it was.
I heard that they had to leave and go back to Australia.
That was also someone racist who told you that.
It could have been.
Probably.
Could have been.
I really don't remember that part of the story.
But I do remember they said they were going back to Australia.
Oh, they were going to Australia. But
yeah.
What? Why did they go to Australia?
That's where they're from.
That's not where they're from.
Yeah, that's what Tony said. Tony said they were from Australia.
They're not from Australia.
Yes, they are. 100%. 100%. They were. They might not be originally from.
I was going to say they lived in Australia.
That's where they were before here.
Don't they have a daughter?
Yes.
And she lived in Australia.
Yes.
So they're going to with their daughter in Australia.
They lived in Australia before that, though.
Sure.
Anyways,
but they're not. To be clear, they're definitely not from Australia.
They could be. They could be.
No,
don't put them in a box like that. But
when they left, it was very cryptic.
When they left, we talked to them and we were like, he's like, we'll be back.
He's like, we'll be back.
And we were like, Tony, we asked him for his number. We said, can I have your number so you could let us know when you're back or something like that?
And he literally was like, you'll know.
That was the last thing he ever said to us.
His sister owns. We could ask his sister. She owns the Cashew Station on Battlefield.
That's what I thought happened. I thought we went and talked to her, and she told us, "Oh yeah, they couldn't get their green cards renewed, and they had to go back to Australia."
Maybe
I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
We did ask. We need to go. So our favorite restaurant was Chopsticks, and me and my best friend are sitting here. We're sitting here talking about Chopsticks, and they told us they were going to open something new eventually, and I was just like, "Do you know anything about that?"
No, I can ask for you really quick, though.
That would be awesome.
No, they are not. Not as far as I know.
Okay.
Not as far as the owners know.
Dang. Okay. Did they move to like Australia? That's what we're trying to figure out the rumors that we heard.
Oh yeah, they did move to Australia.
Dang. All right. Well, we were big fans, so if someone could pass a message that we miss them.
The teriyaki chicken and beef, we do make that here.
Okay. Are your crab rangoons the same?
No, we do not.
Oh, dang. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
That helped us a lot.
Yeah, no problem at all. You guys have a good day.
You too.
That's incredible.
They did move to Australia.
I'm vindicated.
So stupid. Okay.
So he exhibited traits like someone who was trained.
Bro, this episode is
so off the wall.
It's very in the weeds, if you will. Jeez, man.
So yeah, he exhibited traits like someone who was trained.
Okay.
So one of the things they found out right away is that he picked the locks to the houses that he broke into. And when he left, he picked them back locked. So he would go back out and he would pick them into being locked. Like reverse pick. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he would lock up with his lock pit set.
Well, that's nice of
behind him. And so early on in the early 80s, you could tell like there was like scratches and stuff all over the locks because he was rusty.
Not great at it, yeah.
Yeah, and then he got pretty good. And so no one could even tell like there was tampering. And he would pick his way into the locks. There was one sighting of him that they brought up. Someone sighted him in the 90s.
And he's like, yeah, I'm pretty blurry in that picture, though.
You don't have any better pictures of me?
I mean, like, they put that out there. They're like, we found him. And I was like, did they? And then there was like a whole team that came out from Discovery Channel. And they were like,
They were
like in the woods going,
growling.
and it's like, I don't think they're looking for me.
Yeah. I growled back a couple times, but...
Yeah, and that really spooked them. There was town meetings.
Yeah. I think never mind. So there was this sighting of him.
And then
in
I
the
decided
90s.
I'm never going out when the moon's out again.
So there's a sighting in the 90s.
Uh-huh.
They said, hey, so in the 90s, some hunter said that they saw someone walking across the street, but that kind of fits your profile. And they said, but they were walking backwards, full speed. And they're like, was that you? And he's like, oh yeah, that's me. He's like, I walk backwards everywhere I go. And they were like, well, why? He's like, because it's funny.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Oh, why do they walk backwards? I'll ask real quick. Yeah, they just do that in Australia. They walk backwards out there.
Yeah, it's kind of like driving on the left side of the road.
I walk backwards everywhere I go. That's an insane thing to say.
So the reason he
The
did
the more questions you get answered, you just go,
oh, I understand now. Now I get it.
oh man. We should just release him.
We should just
We
let
should
this
catch
guy
and
go.
release this guy. Let him go
Here
back
you go,
to the woods.
buddy.
And he just slowly backs away from the jail.
But that's the thing.
He's like,
That's
I'm
the
so
thing.
uncomfortable. He's like, can I walk backwards? Can I please, like,
Can you please turn me around?
like what?
Well, that's
Like
the
the
thing, is
freaking
it's
Weird
not-
Al
He's not walking slowly.
Amish Paradise song.
The important thing is they clarified he's not walking slowly. He's not like moonwalking. He is full speed walking backwards, like lifting up his
I'd
legs.
call the
a
police,
normal
too.
walk.
Is he doing that in his footage too? Because imagine that. Oh my gosh, dude. Imagine you rewind your VHS, right? You're like, something's happened. Something's afoot. And you rewind it and you just see someone go,
You just see your front door open
and you go,
dude's facing the other way.
Is this stuck in rewind? Like, what is happening? And he's just across your house? Did he say why?
Yeah, so the reason for that is he said, in case I left footprints, people would think I was going the other way.
Would they?
Well, if your toes are facing that direction and you were going that direction.
I don't know. This guy's got a weird gait, I guess. Okay.
So yeah, he walked backwards everywhere he went. But then he started learning to do overcast. The reason why he would do overcast is because it would rain and it wash away his footprints. And so the evidence would be gone that he was there.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So
You know what else got washed away?
you know, Jesus walked backwards in every town he went to.
Those footprints in the sand? That's where I was walking that way.
Don't go that way. Nothing happened that direction. Nothing happened over there. You don't need to worry about it.
I walk as far as the east is from the west.
Go east.
This is too many Bible jokes. I'm sorry, YouTube commenter who's upset about the number of Bible jokes we make.
So, and then he never lit a campfire because he didn't want the smoke to attract
away.
anyone
Sure.
to where he came. But here's the thing: he is in Maine,
Is that what all the
surviving through
propane's for?
winters.
The
well,
propane.
the propane was for cooking. he did not use any source like a fire for heat. Instead, what he would do is in the winters, when it would get down to sub-zero temperatures, he would wake up in the middle of the night and he would walk to keep his body heat up. And he would just walk around his camp.
Backwards.
So that way he didn't freeze.
Just taking laps.
Yeah, I found out that the thermodynamics worked better
Wait till you
backwards.
see that on a trail cam. I don't know. What's worse, the skinwalker or
this guy.
just freaking...
You think that's supernatural if you see it. Like, you don't see that and think that that's a normal human. You think that's a ghost or a demon or something. In sub-zero temperatures, walking backwards in the woods.
Okay.
But he did it. He survived. He would fatten himself up every fall so he could make it through the winter. And so it's interesting, especially towards the end when they started capturing more footage of him. If in the fall he was really, really chunky. In the spring he was very skinny, because he would fatten himself up to make it through the winter.
Like a bear.
Like a bear. So pretty good survival instincts. Seems like he was trained.
That's what I'm doing too.
Oh, I'm just prepping for the winter. I'm just putting on my winter meat.
Yeah, that's the worst thing I've ever heard you say. Putting on my winter meat. That's gross.
So they arrested him. They interviewed him, and they took him to trial, and it was a 6-month-long trial. So he was in jail through that whole trial.
Jeez.
He's
He's way
they heard a lot of
warmer in
cases,
here.
1,000 cases of burglary, and a ton of cases of trespassing, especially on the property that
Yeah.
he lived on. They said that there was several hundred, perhaps even 1,000 propane tanks around his camp that he had
He never
spent.
disposed of any of it.
Yeah, he just threw them. It would be empty, and just throw them. And so, like, it's really interesting. I can't find an actual picture of this. I saw in a documentary a quick shot panning out there.
Be free.
And it is insane. It looks insane. It's literally thousands of propane tanks just like peeking out of the dirt, like, because the ground has just grown around it, and like it's just tanks as far as the eye can see. It's bonkers.
Wow. Really turned it into Promaine, if you will.
Welcome to Promaine.
No, don't say it like that.
Oh, sorry.
Promaine.
I heard that there was a big outbreak with Promaine lettuce.
I want to end this.
So they went through this long trial, and the public was divided on him. Some people were
like, he's a survivalist. Just let him in. He's like
Exactly.
clearly got something wrong with him.
because there were some people who started putting signs on their front door that said, "Please don't break in. Just tell us what you need, and we'll leave it on the doorstep."
Yeah.
And so like there were some people who, like, he was kind of like a folk hero, honestly, in the community. But then some people hated him. Like some people felt very violated because, like, I mean, it is. He's stealing from you. So, and he's walking backwards everywhere he goes. And so during his testimony, he was asked. He said, "How much contact have you had with the outside world?" And he said, "I have a radio." So he's like, "I know who the Kardashians are." And they had pity on him.
Wait, the Kardashians are even famous on the radio?
It's crazy that this man did not have contact with another human for 27 years and still knew who the
He's just
Kardashians
like,
were.
yeah, I
That's
know who
how
the
far-reaching they
Kardashians
are. But no, he did say there was one.
He's like, they're actually the main reason I didn't come down. I thought about coming down in like 2012, but then I heard about who Kanye and Kim were, and I was like, I'm going to stay out here.
I'm going to stay out here. He said there was 2 instances in the course of the 27 years where he spoke to someone. One of them, he was on a trail and he passed another hiker, and they just said, "Hi." And he was like, "Hi."
Hey. And they're like,
"Hi." And then there was a fisherman who was fishing at the pond and saw him, and he said, "Please leave me alone." And the guy said, "No problem."
the hermit said that?
No, he said to the fisherman, he said, "Please leave me alone." And
That's what I'm
the
saying.
fisherman said, "No problem."
If you didn't say anything, I wasn't going to.
Yeah. Honestly, the fact that you asked me to leave you alone makes me want to not leave you alone. Like, I'm curious. It seems like you're doing something wrong.
Dude, I was in the bathroom the other day at a urinal. Some guy comes up next to me at the urinal. And he goes, "Hey, can we not talk?"
I wasn't planning on it.
I wasn't going to say nothing to you.
I wasn't. Yeah.
But now that we're here.
Yeah. You started the conversation.
You ever heard
that
of
was an opener.
Christopher Thomas Knight?
What if I just walked backwards out of this bathroom?
How far away do you think I could stand from this thing and still make it?
Please leave me alone.
No problem.
So 27 years. That was the only contact he had with other humans. That's like 8 words. Please leave me alone. Alone and I. 5 words. 5 words. One hand worth of words.
Hi.
In 27 years. Bonkers.
You know he's talking to the trees out there.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, he was bargaining with them. He's like, you guys need to quit growing. I can almost not reach my clotheslines anymore.
Guys, this isn't a fun game.
I keep telling the trees to stop taking my
The
clothes
trees are
away.
playing monkey in the middle with me. I'm sorry, what? The trees are playing monkey in the middle with me. And I never get to be it.
The trees think we're still monkeys.
The trees are mean to me. Okay.
The other day I was walking out of my camp and the tree came up behind me and it pulled my backpack straps real tight. It said, go out to camp, you little
waddle
turtle.
out the woods, little turtle. And I was like, you know how hard it is to do that backwards?
So the jury, I don't know if it was because they felt bad for him or if they just didn't think his crimes were that bad, but they sentenced him to 7 months. And he had already served 6. So he served 1 more month after the court. And then he got rehabilitated into society. He had court mandated therapy he had to do for, I think it was 3 years.
They got him an apartment. He slept in the carport.
Yeah, he moved into a small town in Maine, and he works as a mechanic there, and he's still there, mechanicking. And he still walks backwards everywhere he goes.
I don't want people to know where I'm going.
I don't want anyone to know where I'm going. Here's the
That's
thing,
crazy.
though. I want to read a quote to you from the police officer who arrested him.
Okay.
Because, just listen to this quote. It says, the officer couldn't help but be amazed at the way he moved through the forest. He described him as moving like a cat, silently, with agility, grace, and dexterity. I am pretty sure there's a scene in a documentary where one of the officers who arrested him, he captivated all the officers that arrested him.
Yeah.
One of the officers, a female cop, that's an important note, she went as far as she was describing how impressed she was with him and his survival capabilities.
Okay.
And then she talked about how after he got arrested, there's a few times where she visited him in jail. And she was like...
I don't know. Kind of hot.
And she paused her story in the middle of her story and said, and I need to say, like, we had a professional relationship. Like, I only spoke to him if I had a reason to be speaking to him. And I was like, that is very sus. The fact that you were just
and
talking...
I do need to say... It's extremely professional.
The fact that you were talking about how impressive he was.
I mean, his legs just shoo, 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 shoo. And the eye contact the whole time as he's backing
running
into
away
the
from
woods. Just strictly professional.
Strictly professional relationship.
But
he was amazing.
He stole more than just some food. He's stolen my heart.
My heart? It was very suspect. Very suspect.
Huh.
And I think that might have something to do with his short sentence. I don't know. I'm just conjecture here.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, so that's
it. Huh?
That's the North Pond Hermit, Christopher Thomas Knight, one of the most impressive people who lived in the woods for 27 years.
That's crazy. Fall diff.
What?
That's fiddle off backwards.
Oh, no. Hey, thanks for watching this episode. If you liked it, here's another one you can check out. And then down here is a bunch of other episodes you can watch. So make sure you click on that to watch forever. And then you can subscribe if you haven't done that already. It makes sure you don't miss an episode. Like this video, leave a comment, leave a review wherever you're watching. And then subscribe or follow on whatever social media platform you prefer. We will be there.